And welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of Hazardous Verbal Waste. I'm your host, Shara Chan. Today is Sunday, September 29th, 2019. Got a lot of really cool stuff to go over this episode, including a segment that was recorded live at the first ever DinkyCon in Seattle, Washington. Without further ado, let's get right down to it, shall we? In Yu-Gi-Oh! News. In continuing with my review of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution game for the Nintendo Switch, I thought I'd share with you guys my progress through the game and a few of my thoughts. I have completed the single-player campaign, going through all the different chapters of all the different series, up to including the only currently available 2 chapters for V-Reigns. I am a little disappointed that there aren't more chapters for V-Reigns, but it does seem to be going in the same direction as previous iterations of the game, where the latest series of Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't have a full complement of chapters in this game. I have discovered that the Gravekeeper's archetype seems to be the most anti-meta archetype available in the game and available in real life. And I'm very much looking forward to building that deck in real life and testing it out and seeing if I might be able to get some good placings in some tournaments with it. It does seem to very handily defeat just about every single deck I've played against in the game. And to be perfectly honest, I'm a little surprised that all the cards for this deck are available in real life. Most of the Gravekeeper's cards are available from the Grandpa Moto booster set in the game. And if you really want to win, this would be the deck to build. I have also gone through about half of the Duelist challenges. These are very interesting matches where you play against characters that you played from the different chapters in the game, but with much more powerful decks. I have noticed that a lot of the original series characters are able to utilize different strategies that wouldn't have been available in the original series. Like, I have seen characters like Joey Wheeler actually using Synchro monsters and Xyz monsters, which I found to be very surprising. A little disturbing that these characters are utilizing cards not normally available to them, but it does make for a great challenge. And like I said, if you want to be able to get through as much of the game as possible with as little having to stop and restart matches, the Gravekeeper's deck is the deck to look into. Some of the strategies of the Gravekeeper's deck that I have discovered worked very well would be the Gravekeeper's Supernaturalist, Hidden Temple of Necro Valley and Necro Valley Temple, as well as, of course, the Necro Valley Field Spell. The Gravekeeper Supernaturalist is a fusion monster, and it cannot be destroyed by card effects, and it allows you to, at the end phase of your turn, search for and add to your hand any Necro Valley or Gravekeeper card. Hidden Temple of Necro Valley is a continuous spell card, and when it's played, neither player can special summon monsters except for Gravekeeper's monsters. Kind of part of it shuts down almost everything except for Gravekeepers, which is great, and part of the reason why I think it is an excellent anti-meta deck, considering most meta decks these days do tend to want to special summon a lot. Link monsters, Xyz, Synchro, everything gets shut down. As well, Hidden Temple of Necro Valley requires that you have a Gravekeeper's monster and Necro Valley on the field at all times. If either the Gravekeeper's monster or Necro Valley leave the field, Hidden Temple of Necro Valley gets destroyed. The Necro Valley Temple is a trap card, continuous trap. It allows you to activate Necro Valley from your hand or graveyard once per turn. It decreases the attack and offense of all your opponent's monsters by 500 points. A very distinct feature considering that Necro Valley itself increases all of your Gravekeeper's monsters by 500 attack and defense. So when you have these 3 cards on the field, these 4 cards, mind you, your opponent pretty much is unable to do anything. I also found that Gravekeeper's Heretic is a great card. It's an 1800 attack monster, and while Necro Valley is on the field, Gravekeeper's Heretic is unaffected by all other card effects, so it can't be destroyed by card effect. It can't have its attack or defense increased or decreased. It's an all-around excellent card. I have found a few workarounds with Hidden Temple in Necro Valley and Necro Valley Temple, where if you have Gravekeeper's Priestess on the field is treated as Necro Valley, so you're able to activate these cards. And again, in my personal opinion, this is a great deck to play if you are looking for that perfect anti-meta deck. A lot of the Gravekeeper's monsters and Necro Valley cards allow you to search for other Gravekeepers and Necro Valley cards. They allow you to utilize different cards. I'm forgetting the name of the monster, and if any of you listeners know the name of the monster, please let me know. It's a 1200 attack Gravekeeper's monster, and when it is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add any Gravekeeper's monster from your deck to your hand. That in conjunction with Gravekeeper's Descendant, which allows you to tribute any one Gravekeeper's monster on the field to destroy one of your opponent's monsters. This is a great combination to be able to search out, say, Gravekeeper's Commandant, which allows you to discard itself to bring Necro Valley to your hand. I mean, there are combos galore in this deck, and it has proven to be effective at just about every single deck type that is available in the game, both the video game and the real life game. So if you're looking for a good deck, check out the Gravekeeper's deck, and if you want to test it out before you actually invest the money to purchase the deck, pick up a copy of Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. It's a great simulator of the game. And speaking of the cost of the Gravekeeper's deck, just a little side note, in doing some research as to the cost of it to build out the deck, since I already have about maybe 3/4 of it in real life, it looks like this is an excellent budget deck as well. The 20-some cards that I need to complete the real-life version of the Link Evolution deck is only going to cost me about $30-some. And given that you get a good deal of these cards out of the Speed Duel deck as well, and most of the cards are commons, this is going to be a really good budget deck to look for. The most expensive card so far that I've found would be Gravekeeper's Supernaturalist, the fusion monster. So that's pretty much all I have for Yu-Gi-Oh! News this week. If you guys know of any interesting tidbits, or if you would like to chime in and give your opinion on Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution, or this quite excellent Gravekeeper's deck, please let me know. I'll make sure to leave the ways in which you can contact the show at the end of this episode. Without further ado, on to the next segment. In entertainment news, great news for Marvel and Spider-Man fans, as Disney and Sony have finally come to an agreement regarding the shared rights of Spider-Man in both the Marvel Cinematic Universe and his standalone films. They recently announced that Spider-Man will continue to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that Marvel Studios and Sony will continue to collaborate on future standalone Spider-Man films. This is great news for fans of Spider-Man, as he has been an integral part of the Infinity Saga in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been an integral part of both standalone films that have been released so far, that being Homecoming and Far From Home. Especially in Far From Home, where during the end credit scene, we see that Nick Fury and Agent Maria Hill are not what they appear to be, and are in fact two of the Skrulls that were shown in Captain Marvel, and that Nick Fury and Maria Hill themselves are actually off-planet. These storylines hint at the Secret Wars saga depicted in the comic books, and I'm really excited to see what comes of this. It's great news because for the longest time, for the last couple of months, no one was really sure what was going to happen. How would Marvel deal with not being able to mention Spider-Man again? How would Spider-Man deal with not being able to mention anything that happened in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Especially considering the almost father-son relationship that Spider-Man had with Iron Man. I personally am excited. If you're excited and you want to share your thoughts on this latest development in the Disney-Sony war over Spider-Man, please let me know. I'll be happy to play or read your comments on the next episode. That's pretty much all I have for entertainment news this week. On to the next segment. In technology news, and also as a side note, the lack of sponsorship for this episode, the podcatcher app Podcoin has been shuttered. It was a huge blow for podcasters everywhere and podcast listeners, as the Podcoin app, which allowed you to listen to podcasts and earn Podcoins, which could be redeemed for gift cards and items and even donations to charities, was shut down earlier this month. It's a huge blow for me, as any of my listeners can attest. I was running ads for Podcoin as a sponsor for this show. Really sad to see the Podcoin app go, although the creator of the app did say that it was a great experiment. He learned a lot and will be bringing what he learned to a future project, which I'm hoping might be a Podcoin 2.0. In the meantime, unfortunately, there won't be any sponsor ads for this episode or any future episodes until I can find a replacement for Podcoin. If any of you know of any companies that would be willing to sponsor my show, please let me know. If you work for any companies that would like to sponsor a podcast, make sure to have your superiors get a hold of me. I will make sure to include contact information for Hazardous Verbal Waste at the end of this episode. Well, that's all we have for technology news this week. On to the next segment. Well, here at last, the recorded live from DinkyCon in Seattle, Washington, the Hazardous Verbal Waste panel. A quick note, unfortunately due to some technical difficulties, the first 10 to 15 minutes of the panel were lost. Unfortunately, I was unable to re-record them. So with this, we will jump right in the middle of the panel discussion. If any of you have any comments or suggestions on how I could do better in the next live recording of Hazardous Verbal Waste, please let me know. I will, again, leave the contact information at the end of this episode. Without further ado, the first ever DinkyCon, Seattle, Washington. Enjoy. Anybody else? Yes. Well, the real trick to that would be I find my way to getting to do stuff like this, running a panel. Most conventions tend to give at least partial rebates to people running panels, people doing recordings or special events. Ended up getting on staff for a convention that way. I just showed up one day to the meeting and was like, I got an idea, let's do this. And then got put in charge of all the non-electronic gaming for that con. Yes?
Do you have like a favorite tabletop game, whether that's D&D or Magic or something?
My favorite tabletop game would have to be the physical version of Ascension. I find it to be really fun. It's really expensive and really hard to find all the expansions for it. Anybody else? Anybody have anything newsworthy, a topic that they read about that they want me to cover? Because I am more than capable of covering everything. Yes? The most I spent would have to be getting Stan Lee's autograph at Pittsburgh Comic-Con a couple years back. That was an expense. It was $35 per item, plus another $35 just for the authentication, and you could not speak with the man. They just handed the stuff for him to sign, and then he signed it and then handed it to somebody else, and then somebody else handed it back to you at the end of the line. But I personally spent about $150, had a couple issues signed and a couple DVDs signed of some of the Marvel movies. I saw a guy with a wagon full of comic books and stuff for Stan to sign, and I watched that go on for almost 15 minutes of one guy's autographs. Must have spent $1,000 on just autographs from Stan Lee. Anybody else? Anything interesting that you've read in the news?
You seem to be a big Marvel fan. What do you think of the MCU's current deal falling apart with Spiderman?
Funny you should mention that. I actually was just researching this subject. Apparently, what's going on is Amazon and Apple are currently in a bidding war to purchase Sony Entertainment. If that happens, Spider-Man rights automatically revert back to Marvel. So it's actually in Disney's best interest for Sony to not come back to the negotiating table, because they could end up getting Spider-Man back no cost.
Wow.
Yeah.
Diabolical.
Yeah. But hey, that's business, right? Anybody else? Any interesting games anyone's interested in? Anybody play the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game? Nobody? Testing. Bueller. Come on. Somebody's got to have an idea.
What's new on the scene? I have no idea.
That would depend on what topic you're talking about.
Video game world, I suppose.
Video game wise, a lot of really cool stuff's been happening in the last couple of weeks. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution came to the Switch as an exclusive. I'll get right to you. Just 1 second. I know Gears of War 5 just released a couple weeks ago. I've been playing through the single-player campaign on that. I'm really enjoying it. Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you. Borderlands 3. I played a little bit of Borderlands, a couple of different versions. Not really a franchise that really grabs my attention. A game really has to grab my attention for me to really want to play it, and some games unfortunately don't. Anybody else? Yes.
What's your ideas on Yuri on Ice?
I'm sorry?
Yuri on Ice?
I really have no opinion on that. on that. Not something I'm altogether familiar with. Anybody else? Anyone? I could do the Bueller joke all night. I've actually been to several comedians that have pulled similar stunts when they have a quiet audience. Yes. I do apologize. I'm not exactly familiar with that. I really have no opinion on the matter. Deadpool? Which one? One, two, the Christmas special, the fact that he's aware of the fact that he's a cartoon character. I love Deadpool. I severely dislike the audience members that bring their 4-year-old kids to the movie because the opening sequence alone is just violent as all get out for both movies, except for the PG-13 one with Fred Savage. That was just really creepy. Yes.
So, as some people know here, people ship Spiderman and Deadpool together. What do you think of that?
Hello, have you seen the wicked bro boner that Deadpool has for Spider-Man? It's just that it has to be. It is. Anybody else? Yes.
So, like, for all the old people in the room, did you like Cowboy Bebop? Back in the
Oh, yes. I absolutely love Cowboy Bebop. Some of the older ones, Trigun, Robotech, the original Transformers, Beast Wars. That was one of my definite favorites when I was a kid. Yes, I am aging myself by talking about anime that came out at a time when nobody in this country knew where Japan was. Yes. They are not the first anime that I watched. They are definitely some of the earliest ones I've watched. It's really complicated. Some of the older ones I don't even remember because it's so long ago. Yes. Let's go left and then right. My left and then my right. So. Pardon? I am familiar with it. Haven't had a lot of time to watch it. Well, like I said, the very first anime I ever watched was the original Robotech. The first modern anime I watched would have to be Yu-Gi-Oh! Yes.
What's good horror dark animes you have seen?
I'm sorry?
Horror dark animes?
Uh, well, there is something to be said for the animated. I forget the name of that particular Batman movie. Yeah, I believe so. The animated Batman movie. It was really dark and really twisted. And no, newer than that. It was put out just a couple years ago. It was an adaptation of a mini series. Yes, they're dark. They are scare. They scare my wife to no end. She refuses to see them. Uh, but I honestly kind of like, just from what I've seen of the previews of Chapter 2, I kind of like the casting choices they made and how it really is just a continuation of the story. Yes, that depends on my mood. If I'm in a really bad mood, I like a lot of death metal. If I'm in a really uh, contemplative mood, I will listen to a lot of 70s and 80s underground London British rock. Yes. Yes and no. There are some country stars that I do enjoy, but it's like one or two songs here and there. Yes. Hmm. That is a complicated question. I like so much music, it's kind of hard to pick which one is my favorite. Um, I guess off the top of my head, Jars of Clay. It's a Christian alternative rock band. Yes.
I don't know all very well, but with the people that I'm friends with that do know Marvel, they say that there is a lot of ships in Marvel. So what do you think of that?
Well, there are. They have played with with some very very tangent storylines in the movies, like the Hulk and Black Widow. Uh, the fact that Valkyrie and Captain Marvel might get together, which is very controversial to some fans. Yes, there is. I would have to say there definitely is a brewing bromance between the two of them. I wouldn't say it goes so far as an actual romance, but there's definitely some hanging out at each other's houses, having barbecues. Anybody else? Yes. My favorite character would have to be Rocket. He's annoying, very much speaks his mind, and likes to blow stuff up. Anybody else? Questions? Comments? Yes. Um, I haven't really watched a lot of Korean animes. Of course, then any anime you watch is derivative of something. So any Korean anime could be derivative of a Japanese anime, and vice versa. And there's a huge thing about. There was a Korean animated movie that was put out before The Lion King, which is identical to The Lion King. So, just with better animation. Anybody else? favorite horror movie would have to be Army of Darkness. Love that movie. Yes. Pardon? Not familiar with that term. No, I love clowns. Two of my best friends are clowns. They actually make a decent living working birthday parties in the summer. Anybody else? Yes. K-pop, I enjoy it. I tend to lean more towards Japanese metal. So, yes. Not familiar with it, I'm sorry. Sorry, never heard it termed that way.
It's a metal band called Baby Metal.
No. Sorry, can't say that I have. Anybody else? Something that I might actually have an answer to other than I don't know, never heard of it? Hey, it's not your fault. I never really explained that I don't know a whole lot about a lot of stuff. I know a lot about a little and a little bit about a lot, but nothing in between. Yes. Pokemon. I've played the trading card game, played the Switch game, Let's Go Pikachu. Yeah, it's good franchise either way. Yes. Favorite Pokemon character? Meowth. Yes. I play it a lot. My day job is a DoorDash driver, so I have a lot of time sitting at hotspots. I know quite a few hotspots that are also Pokestops, so. Anybody else? Is there any video games or movies, TV shows? Yes. Familiar with it, haven't watched it in a while. No, then I'm not familiar with it at all. Any? Yes. I'm sorry. Xenogears? I never really played it. Played that game a lot, but I know a friend of mine has. I watched him play that a lot. I would hope that if they are going to remake it, they just make more like a sequel maybe, or maybe the way they remade Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening originally for the Game Boy on the Switch. Yes. Anything past Final Fantasy VII is not Final Fantasy. That is my opinion. Yes.
What's your opinions or outlook on like AI or artificial robots in the future?
I am really interested to see who ends up making the breakthrough that brings artificial intelligence into play. My money is on probably either Bezos or what's his name in charge of Tesla. Yeah, Musk. Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry? Favorite Marvel movie? I would have to say that my favorite Marvel movie was, or actually will be, Thor: Love and Thunder, because rumor has it that we are going to get to see Jane Foster as Thor, as a female Thor in that movie. Anybody else? Yes. Never mind. Okay. Fair enough. See, I blank on a lot of stuff too. Yes. I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts on Detroit Become Human?
I apologize. I'm not familiar with that. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. Yes. It was on my list of things to watch. I did watch the first 3 episodes, but unfortunately, I have a pretty large slate of shows to go through, so I haven't had a chance to get back to it yet. But it's really good what I saw of it. Yes. I'm sorry? Not familiar with it. I'm sorry. I haven't seen anything really hit my radar as of yet regarding it, so I really am not familiar with it. Anybody else?
You like Miyazaki? Spirited Away and all.
Most definitely. Spirited Away is kind of my wife's gateway drug into anime herself, so because we were trying to find her something that she would enjoy, and Miyazaki films ended up being that thing. Yes. That is Miyazaki. Miyazaki is in charge of Ghibli Studios, so I love their films, and I hope to see more come out of the studio in the future. Anybody else? I can do the Bueller joke again if that'll get some laughs.
What about Steven Universe? Have you seen that?
I have. My friend's 10-year-old son is obsessed with it. It's one of the few things that his grandparents actually let him watch. Just because I don't think they grasp some of the jokes in the show. But so I have watched it quite a few times. It's entertaining. I really don't read too much more into it than it's entertaining. Anybody else? Any other TV shows? Streaming originals? Yes? The oldest movie I have ever watched would have to be probably the original Star Wars A New Hope. It's a lot older than people think it is. Yes. What year did New Hope come out? That is a good question. Just checking that. 1977, that's when that came out. So see, not 79, it's 77. Yes. No, I haven't. I know I did once watch a animated short from, I believe it was 1875. It was like one of the first examples of animating a moving picture using drawings. Anybody else? Got about 16 minutes left.
Final Fantasy VII remake. Anything new coming out of that? I just from what I see online, it's got a lot of
I haven't seen much about it, so.
Making a move from the turn-based and may have a turn-based system in there. We haven't seen a lot from it. I still play Final Fantasy VII almost on a daily basis.
As long as it has the same basic gameplay, I don't want to see. I liked what they did with Final Fantasy Adventure when they re-released it, and they added more gameplay that you could play it from the girl character's perspective or the boy character's perspective. So, yeah. All right, well, that is, I guess, going to be it for today, since half my audience is now gone. Convention audiences are very fickle. Yeah. Well, that is it, so I will just... and cut. Well, that's pretty much all we have for this week's episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. On to the final thoughts. Before we get to the final thoughts, a quick word from some other shows that you might find entertaining.
Hey, I'm Chen.
And I'm James.
We're from A Bloody Mess Podcast, the badly researched true crime podcast.
We straddle the boundaries between documentary and comedy, and our aim is to leave you laughing and thinking, wow, I didn't know that.
So once you're done with this podcast, add us to your download lists and give us a go. Have a nice day.
Bye.
There's been a murder of podcast.
Hello! Do you listen to podcasts? Did you seriously just give me that look? I knew you listened to podcasts, but do you listen to the Bare Naked Ladies? Wait, don't hit fast forward. Yes, there's a band out there called Bare Naked Ladies. They are quirky, fun, comedic, and excellent musicians. If you love alternative 90s music with a little jazz, rap, and country mixed in at different times, then you've got to try this band out. And we will lead you through a journey of getting to love this band. We have 3 or 4 people with different levels of bare naked experience. We have Aaron, who's our music expert that breaks down each song. We will try to be informative, but also, we're all friends, so we like to have as much fun as possible. If you are a moderate fan of BNL, then you'll find new experiences and information. If you're a BNL fanatic like me, then I bet you too will find a song that is a deep dive that you never knew of. We sometimes have guests after the first letter. Oh, did I not mention that? We are Bare Naked ABCs, and the ABCs represents that we discuss the songs alphabetically. So come try us out on all platforms where podcasts are downloaded. Bare Naked ABCs. And no, we are not nude during the recordings.
Bare naked. Bare naked. Bare naked. ABCs.
Hello, future listeners. We are Historical AF. I'm Ashley.
I'm Keena.
And I'm Natalie.
We are 2 librarians and a historian bringing the funny, weird, spooky, and morbid historical nuggets you never knew you needed in your ear holes every Sunday.
And once a month, we bring you extra AF episodes full of your stories and history in the news.
And we do this while hitting the giggle water and gracing the world with our foul mouths and wit.
So if you love to laugh and you like history, true crime, and the paranormal, then we are the podcast for you, and your girls can't wait for you to join us.
You can find us on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. For a full list of ways to listen, go to historicalafpodcast.wordpress.com. And while you're there, you can check out the photos that accompany each episode.
Yeah, bye. We'll see you soon. I don't know. That'll probably scare them away.
Yeah.
Probably.
Come to us.
Come to the dark side. We have vodka.
And cookies.
Hell yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Well, here we are at the end of yet another episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope to make this season even better than Season 2. If you have any comments or suggestions that you would like to have read on the air, or if you would like to record your comments or suggestions and have me play them on the air in a future episode, there are several ways that you can contact me here at Hazardous Verbal Waste. The easiest would be to send any of your comments and suggestions either in text or audio form to hazardousverbal@gmail.com. You can also contact the show via the Contact Us page using the contact form on hazardousverbal.com. That's our website. You can also reach us via the many social media platforms. I will make sure to have those links on the website if they aren't already. I also wanted to announce that I have started a Kickstarter campaign to help fund future episodes and future seasons of Hazardous Verbal Waste. You can check that out. If it's not live yet, I will make sure that it is live soon, that the Kickstarter campaign is live soon. And I will make sure to have the links to that in the show notes. That's pretty much all we have for this week. So, as always, I'm Shira-chan, signing off. Peace.